Hey everyone, it's Sun Types, and today I'm going to be looking at some new cards that have just been revealed. They're really interesting, I think, and they bring back some mechanics from the past as well, which is kind of neat. I'm sure some of you will be very excited about one of the cards in particular, but overall, it's really interesting. Also, I'm looking at it on PokeGarden here because they have less ads and like not like weird ads. I usually look at it on PokeBeach, but it's just weird ads. I'm not sure. Comment down below which you'd rather see me look at. Yeah, I'm certainly fine looking at either, but I'm going for PokeGuardian now. I don't know if there are other ones as well. There probably are, but PokeGuardian and PokeBeach are pretty much the same thing anyway, I think, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is as it says here, the second main set of Japan. Presumably our second main set, maybe combined with Triple B. I'm not overly sure. It probably says here. And it features Cheng Pao, Tinglu, and Chiyu EX. Yeah, Wu Chen. I don't know if I'm saying these right. I think they're like the legendaries, or are they the mythicals? I don't know. They're from the Scarlet and Violet, though. Strange that they have Squawk ability instead of Wu Chen, but it is what it is. We'll see them, though. They're really interesting. This is the full set list that we've seen so far. And of course, they're the translation. So let's go over them. We do see, I don't think there are any reprints here either. There are a lot of really interesting cards here. Also, we have some special art. The pack looks fine. Yeah, let's go into the first one here, though. Shin Pao EX with this ability. Okay, so what's the order here? Okay, they're showing off the EXs first. I'm going to skip around, I think, because some of them really have synergy with others. So, Chin Pao here, though, like an EX, 220 HP, so it looks like the average. Same as like a V. Some of these have more, some have less. It looks like there's like a greater spread, I guess. We'll find out, though. It's around the HP of a basic V, which is fine. Its ability Trembling Chill. Once on your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may search your deck for up to 2 basic water energy, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And presumably, I don't know, I guess the attack also is used here, which I'll talk about. Hail Blade for 2 water. Discard any amount of water energy from your Pokemon. This does 60 for each card discarded in this way. So keep in mind, you can't accelerate to this with Melanie. You can't accelerate using Frostmoth because that'll be rotated. But this also replaces Capacious Bucket with its ability. You can use multiple of these abilities per turn. If you switch out a bunch, it does have a 2 retreat cost, though. Also weak to metal, which makes sense as it's an ice type, but that's something to keep in mind. And then it'll pair very nicely with a new Excalibur, a Pokemon I am not super familiar with. I think it's the pseudo-legendary of the generation. Its ability here, first of all, its attack 130 for 3 is underwhelming on a stage 2. However, it's essentially the same as Blastoise with Rain Dance or Deluge. With its new ability, Sub-Zero, kind of weird being on an ice type, but that's fine. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach a water energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So, and speaking of like weird being an ice type, Frostmoth's also an ice type, so I guess that's kind of silly. But Excalibur, it's cool, I guess. It's obviously the same thing as Deluge Blastoise or Rain Dance Blastoise, if you're familiar with those, allowing you to accelerate lots of water energies into play. And it's the first time we've seen this in, I think, quite a while on water type. We have it. I know we have it for Dark currently in Standard. We have something similar in Cherim, Frostmoth. But Excalibur here, obviously, really good synergy with the Chain Pow EX, which obviously gets you the energy, gets a lot of payoff from the water energy as well, because you can be one-shotting almost anything. This reminds me a lot of Raichu V, which is alright, but a bit underwhelming because it's paired with Flaffy. So the question is Excalibur going to be better than Flaffy? I like the ability here, though, with its combination with all the stuff. I think this could be a solid deck. The issue is how are you going to use it? But I think it's very good as well with Irida, which is for water Pokemon and item cards. And I think those cards are really made to go together, this package. And this is going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think the metal weakness is too bad. Will it be able to keep up? I'm not really sure. I don't know exactly what the meta is going to look like, but I really think this has a solid chance of being very strong. And I think the format might slow down a little bit. And Excalibur is a stage 2, but of course we still have Rare Candy, which is being reprinted, Scarlet and Violet. So I think this deck is going to be very solid, and I'm interested in seeing what it can do. And it can also play other water attackers. I'm trying to think of what he's playing in like a Frostmoth box. You could play Radiant Greninja, of course. You probably will. You can also play. I don't know. I guess there's a There's a Lapras that's alright. A Crabominal V, I guess you could play, but Chien-Pao EX fulfills a moderately similar role as well. And also has nice synergy with Clara, which is the very important form of Pokemon recovery, and then also energy recovery. And it also works pretty well with something like Energy Recycler, because you can get the energy back pretty easily. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, I don't know what order this is. I'm used to the Pokevision order of like type order. I'll talk about Chi-Yu EX, I guess. It's moderately interesting, and again, another basic EX, 190 HP, so I guess that's low. It's hard to tell. But for one fire, you discard 2 from the top of your opponent's deck. So I was just talking about Crabominable. This is the same thing. Of course, it's fire type, less HP. Is it better? It's probably not better, but it's at least an interesting option. And we are losing Centiskorch, Baby Centiskorch. I was thinking this has a moderate synergy with that, but we're losing that, so that doesn't really matter. It's an option. I like it as an option in a deck like any deck, but it's not super strong, certainly. But what is pretty strong, I think, is its attack here. Flame Surge 100 for 2 fire, which isn't great, but it's not horrible. Choose 3 of your bench Pokemon, can be any type, but probably fire in this case. For each of those Pokemon, search your deck for a basic fire energy and attach it to that Pokemon. Shuffle your deck afterward. So, of course, the idea here is that it sets up your bench. It's kind of interesting with Magma Base, and you can power stuff up decently well. I don't really know how well this is going to work. But I really like the idea of it, and I think it could be very strong. Doing damage and accelerating energy is good. Accelerates a bunch of energy, but it's to a lot of different Pokemon. So that's going to limit it a lot, because I think a lot of the good fire attackers take like 3 fire energy, so you need to accelerate one the next turn you attach and Magma Basin. It's also awkward to use turn 1 because you need to Magma Basin to Chi-Yu here, and that's going to take more damage. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to go, but I think it's an option and will probably be played as a one-of in Magma Basin style decks. And I think fire is going to be a very solid type as well post rotation. I think it has tools to be good. If it doesn't do well, I think it's because people are choosing not to play it. I think it definitely has enough tools, though. I don't know if Chi-Yu will be a necessary card for those style of decks, though. I think the Zoroark fire build will be very strong, though. Moving on to... Yeah, I should really have planned this out first. We'll talk about Ting Lu EX, which is honestly pretty... It's kind of weird. Is that a crocodile? I don't really know what I'm looking at either. As I say, I haven't played the video games, but its ability Curse-Bound Land, as long as this Pokemon is in the active. Opponent's Pokemon, except Pokemon EX that have damage counters on them, have no abilities. So I don't obviously like this design, because it would be more interesting if it turned off EXs, because, it just kind of... It's kind of annoying that it hurts single prizers much more. It does turn off V's, though, so it stops Genesect. But, well, actually, it doesn't necessarily stop Genesect V if they have their Fusion Strike energy attached. But whatever. It's all right. Of course, they need damage counters on them, so it does synergize with this attack here. 150 for 3 fighting, which is a lot. Kind of awkward to power up. You do have Koraidon EX, I believe, to accelerate, but it's not great. You also have... the pickaxe card, which I don't remember the name of. I should definitely know this. But the fighting type energy acceleration card, Gutsy pickaxe. I don't know, something like that. Accelerates energy, but it's pretty inconsistent. So this will be kind of awkward to power up. Then you put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That's pretty bad. It's not completely unusable, and if it's in a good spot in the meta with a weakness, then I could see this seeing play, but I don't think this is particularly good, other than its ability, which is kind of interesting. But I don't know. It's awkward. You can use Hawlucha, though, to ping your opponent's bench Pokemon, which is nice. I'm also comparing this to Klefki, which is another ability lock Pokemon. I think Klefki is just much better than this. I don't despise this. It also could be tanky, which is kind of interesting, and I think that's worthwhile. But overall, I'm not a big fan of this card. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. So this is the one I'm probably least sure about. It has like different uses. It could be played in hit and run, but I still don't love it. Also 4 retreat costs. That's pretty brutal. Then we'll talk about Garganac, one of my favorite Pokemon. Everyone's favorite Minecraft Donkey Kong. With its ability Blessing of Salt at any time between turns, heal 20 from each of your Pokemon. I mean, that's all right. It's like It's kind of like Radiant Serena, except you essentially can do it twice as often, which is kind of interesting. Adding to that fighting type tank style deck, it has pretty decent HP with the 180, free retreat cost, and fighting 130. Keep in mind, and then you mill the top card of your opponent's deck, which is all right. But keep in mind, you can use this. You use it before your turn and before your opponent's turn, so that's kind of cool. And then you can also you can like use multiple of them. Obviously, that's a lot to set up, but if you're surviving, you can use multiple of them. That's kind of interesting, and I kind of like that. I don't know. It's a lot to set up for stage 2. It's kind of like, I believe, Superior from I don't remember what set, but there's a Superior with a similar ability, only healing 10, but it was kind of interesting. You can pair this even with Radiant Serena, Garganac, and Champions Festival, which is, again, bringing up more problems with Pokemon TCG Live where you can't get it. But, yeah, that's not great. But, yeah, we see Garganac here as an interesting card. I honestly think this is better than... I think it's better than Tinglu EX. I don't think Tinglu EX is very good. I think it's all right, but it's not that strong. I definitely think Garganac has potential to be good, though. Looking at the Raichu here, I don't even remember. Oh, Electro Charge. You can accelerate to itself, and 200 for Lightning Colorless. That's not that good, right? It's just awkward to power up, and there's not much reason to use it over other Pokemon. Notably, the Raichu from Silver Tempest is really good, and I think that's just super strong. Honestly, I think people should be playing that much more right now, but people aren't, so, it's their choice. But, I think Raichu is pretty bad. Like, it's definitely one of the weakest ones we've seen here. Also, why does this has to be, like, why is it translated as Thunderbolt? It says 10 something, probably like 10,000 volts or something. I don't know. I'm trying to read too much into this. I obviously can't read Japanese, but yeah, this Raichu's bad. We'll talk about the Mousehold here. It looks like they didn't include the pre-evolutions. Yeah, that's fine. The pre-evolutions aren't that meaningful. Keep in mind there's a Mousehold and Scarlet and Violet coming out for 2 colors. Does 70 for each Mousehold you have in play. Now this one does for 3 colors, so a bit more awkward to pay off. But you can still do it using the same tools. You're probably going to be using Armor Rouge, I think. It does put 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon for each Mousehold you have in play. So this is a very similar idea. Obviously, you can place 4 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon. That's pretty powerful. You could play a mixture of the two. I think that's very valid. I definitely I like this. There's no more big Parasol, which is really important. There are some other ways of stopping this, notably Espeon V Max, but that's not seeing a ton of play right now. And then there's also, you want to play this with Zoroark, right? Yeah, it's very low HP, so very vulnerable to stuff like Sableye, and even like itself. But it's interesting. I like it. I think it might see some play. I don't love it because of its vulnerabilities, but I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, I like Mousehold, and I think the fact that they're going with these 2 Mouseholds that have synergy together, the one from the Scarlet and Violet and this one from, what is this set called? Snow Hazard and Clayburst. That's kind of cool. But we'll also talk about, I guess, Dunsparce. Yeah, this one's not great. For 4 colorless, you do 100. The defending Pokemon is now paralyzed, and you shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck. So hit and run paralysis is good, but 4 energy is pretty absurd. So the question is there a way to power this up? My thought, I wasn't really thinking about this too much, but you can do stuff like Charm or the Baxcalibur. So it's kind of interesting there. I think the Dunsparce probably isn't good enough, though. It's just awkward, right? We've seen stuff like Minchao with doing, for 1 attachment, I think it's 90, and a better typing with Confusion, which isn't, and then Hit and Run, which isn't horrible. But that's seen like no play. So I can't imagine the Dunsparce will see any play. Not that it's completely unusable. And honestly, as a tech option, it could be okay, but people are also playing a solid chunk of Switch cards now, so I don't really love it. But then we have, let's see, what should I talk about? I'll talk about Squawkability EX. This one's kind of cool. I like the design of this. Really low HP, 160 here. I'd argue it's like the new Dedenne or Crobat, but it's quite different as well. It's an ability that says you can essentially just discard your hand, draw 6. But then, and it's not on play, it's once during your turn. Well, it's not necessarily once during your turn, but it is. You can only use it once during your first turn, and you can't use more than 1 on a turn. So ability. What? Okay, that's pretty funny. I really hope it comes out as ability. That's pretty funny. But oh no, ability. Wait, oh, it's not Squawk. It's Squawkabilly. Yeah, as I said, I've never played Scarlet and Violet, so I don't know the names of the Pokemon. But yeah, Drockabilly. That's pretty good. But the name, the effect is also pretty solid, allowing you to have a lot of versatility, and then you can use your attack for 1 colorless 20, and attach 2 basic energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. I'm assuming, and that's pretty good, right? That's nothing insane. But that's like nice. I definitely like this. Um, I think I'll play this in Dex, right, as like a nice turbo option. So I'm excited to see this. I think it'll be solid. I think it will definitely see play as a 1-of in Dex. Also, it works with stuff like Battle VIP Pass and Netball, Nest Ball. Putting them straight onto the bench, you can still use Drockabilly, which normally you wouldn't be able to use because of its on play effects, I guess, including abilities, don't trigger. So Squawkabilly, I think we'll see play, and I think it's pretty good. And I think that's all the EXs. So now I'll talk about probably my favorite Pokemon, one of the weirder ones as well. First of all, Veraska can do 50 and Confusion for 2. Psychic, that's pretty bad. Not unusable, but not great. But then it's really interesting attack here for 1 colorless on a stage 1. Choose one of your Pokemon from your discard pile and put it straight onto your bench, but you're using your attack. So this is really weird. It can obviously recover like a stage 2 or something. So it's kind of like a Lugia. It's much slower. Or it's slower than Lugia. It doesn't do 2. So that's a bit scary. The fact that they can just gust up and KO it. I think this could be used to get out stage 2 EXs, or it could be used in a control style deck. I haven't delve deep into like deck ideas, but I think it's interesting. I think it's really powerful theoretically, but not in actuality. It might just flop. I could see this one flopping. I could see this one being completely broken. I definitely like the idea of it, but the fact that your opponent can gust around it pretty consistently is annoying and scary. I don't know. I wonder what combos it would be good with. You can do it with like Excalibur. You could do it with like anything. You could do it with Archeops, right? But then like you just want to play Lugia, so I don't know. It's certainly an interesting idea, but I'm not sure what to think about it, to be honest. Then we have a few trainers here. Oh, we do see a Reprinted Super Rod. And then Brave Charm it's literally just a better Cave of Toughness, slightly better. It's essentially the same thing. The base Pokemon this card is attached to gets plus 50 HP, so this can be used on GXs. Obviously, they're completely out of the game now, so it doesn't really matter, but yeah, it's also a tool now. It's officially a tool, not an item. Yeah, that's cool, but not too much to say about it. Now we have a few supports. Grusha, saying draw until you have 5 cards in hand. If none of your Pokemon in play have any energy attached, draw until you have 7 cards in hand instead. Yeah, that's kind of bad, right? Like, draw till you have 5 isn't the worst, but it's not great. And draw till you have 7 is, like, good, I guess, but it's not great either. It's pretty good, but that's if you don't have any energy in play. So if you're playing a no energy deck, I guess it's good, but like the no energy decks aren't good. I don't like the supporter. The discard option I reduced as well with the loss of Gland Meowth and also the loss of Quick Ball. You still have Ultra Ball, but overall I don't like this. You could play Grusha with, I guess it's meant to be synergized with the ice stuff, Excalibur, the water stuff, ice stuff, whatever, and Gene Pow, which I kind of see. I still don't think this is super good. I guess I see the synergy with Excalibur, allowing you to get a bigger hand to hopefully find a Rare Candy and Excalibur, but I'm not a big fan of this card. I might see play here and there, though. And then we have the most important card in the set, probably Iono, everyone's favorite character. It's each player shuffles their hand and puts it on the bottom of their deck, kind of like Marnie. Then each player draws a card for each of their remaining prize cards. That's N, right? That's pretty much just N. There are some minor differences, but it's pretty much just N. So this is just super good. Obviously, you can use it in the early game to draw lots of cards. You can do it in the late game to just completely disrupt your opponent. Obviously, though, if it's the late game, you're disrupting yourself as well. Encourages use of the Barrel engine, possibly over the Revavroom engine, which I'd recommend anyway. But Yeah, I like this card a lot, especially with Bibarel. I think if we didn't have Bibarel in format or Curlia, like I think Curlia, Bibarel, Revavroom, not Revavroom, but mostly Curlia and Bibarel, giving you access to draw out of these awkward hands when they're really small after you've been Ionoed will be super important, and I really like this. And it's a cool card, and I think it's even better now that it's not as random because your hand goes on the bottom of your deck. It just feels way better. You're guaranteed not to see those good cards that you just had, which is more consistent. I think one of the biggest problems with N is its like inconsistency. Although it's generally some people consider it like one of the best cards ever designed. I'd say that's not true, but it's still cool. I think Iona's better designed than N, though. They've learned from their mistakes. Although they reprinted Judge instead of Marnie, which is kind of weird. But this also replaces Marnie, and the fact that it does the shuffle put on the bottom thing, so it's kind of cool. Yeah, Iono is pretty cool as an N reprint. We're finally seeing it, which people have been asking for a while. So that's cool. I'm interested in seeing how this goes, though. As I said, I think the card I'm most excited for might be Veraska. A lot of the cards here are super interesting, though. I'm excited, and here's the full set list, I guess. The rest of the stuff's pretty underwhelming, right? But yeah, I hope you enjoy this, right? There are some super cool cards coming in the near future. I mean, in the very near future, in the fact that in the international world, we're having the Scarlet and Violet set released, but also we're seeing this new set coming out. So I hope you enjoy this. I'm interested in hearing what your thoughts are on this, because there are so many super cool cards coming in, like just Pokemon just releasing cool cards. The EX are designed pretty well, so I hope you enjoyed it. As always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.